Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee meeting for Tuesday, March 11th at 6:45. Ernie Flynn's here and Shell Vaquero's also with me. Mr. Travis is traveling. The announcements we have: public hearing, chapter 62 and 66, garbage and rubbish, property maintenance, Wednesday, March 19th, 2025 at 6:30 at the Borough Hall. Any other announcements from anyone? No? Okay. Daryl, you're next. Comments, petitions, residents in attendance, stuff's not on the agenda. Come on up. Name, date of birth, where you live, what you need.
Good evening. My name is John Gladue. I'm with North Star Construction Management.
Spell your last name.
GLADU. I have a business card if that'll help.
Well, it'll help because we have to, somebody has to interpret the minutes.
I'll give them the business card.
Great, thank you.
No problem. Again, with North Star Construction Management, we're working on a refresh project at the Hotel Warner. Why did I have that look?
How can you refresh it? It just opened 2 weeks ago.
Warner.
Oh, the Warner.
Yeah.
Oh. Mr. McFadden.
Mr.
Okay.
McFadden.
Okay.
Mr. McFadden.
I feel sorry for you.
Well,
Good
is
luck.
this on the record? All right, never mind then.
Dear friends.
Yeah, Brian's a good guy. He's a good guy. So we've been working on the refresh project for about 4 weeks now. We're renting 5 parking spaces on Chestnut Street. And we have a couple storage containers in there and we have a dumpster in there. We've been renting the parking spaces continuously every 14 days. We're re-upping it. We also have a permit for all 3 items in those spots. But we understand that it is only good for 30 days or a month. I'm working with Kathy Brooks. She suggested I come here and request an extension for here. We also understand that's a state highway. So we also reached out to PennDOT and Ken Kavanaugh, make sure we had his blessing and he's okay with the way everything stands. So we only anticipate being there another 4, maybe 6 weeks. But the things that are in those containers, they're going to be in the hotel in short order. So we probably will get rid of them before we're out of there. So we're very aware of the things that are going on in town, especially the graduations that are coming up. There's an outside eatery on Gay Street that's going to mess up traffic. Our goal is to be out of your hair long before that. So we are respectfully requesting an extension for the permit for those containers.
You see how tough I can be, right?
I'm sorry?
Oh, you see how tough I can be with even the police department. Where's your business based out of?
North Star?
Yeah.
We're based out of Allentown, PA.
Oh, Valentine, so you're pretty local. So
We're not that far away.
yeah, all right. This is a normal thing that happens every once in a while where council has to approve the extension over 30 days. Most of the time, we don't even know that there's a permit out there for storage stuff. And it's one of the requirements.
Yep.
So I don't have any issue with it. You have, Mr. Vaquero? No,
Okay.
that's pretty easy.
I thank you both.
Make sure you give a business card.
I will.
so we
I
can
sure
get
will.
it spelling right.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Engineers report, Mr. Pannoni. You wish.
I wish I was Mr. Pannoni.
Good evening, Mr. Klein.
Good evening. Nate Klein with Pannoni. Just a brief update on some of our action items here. We met with the borough team actually yesterday at our office, kind of caught up here on the spring schedule. So I just want to kind of briefly update. I've got about 4 capital projects that are kind of in process. Goose Creek, green infrastructure project at the Public Works Building. We've been very fortunate. Don has been kind of keeping an eye on that project for us, out his window. So we've been able to kind of keep costs down as Don has been able to keep an eye on that. And they're working on the South Matlack Rain Gardens right now. Next is the Taylor Run Stream Restoration Project. We got the joint permit application out to DEP. We're waiting on their review. They have 93 days to review that. So we're waiting on their feedback for that. Then that project will move a little bit forward. Good news, the Hoops Park, the Racket Center, we had the pre-construction meeting with Keith and the contractor earlier this week. They are scheduled to start sometime next week. So that project will be underway as well. And last, we started today doing the field survey work for the Maple Alley, Foshnot Alley sanitary sewer upgrades. So our survey crews are out there. We'll start doing some utility locating. Sean Mitchell and Don were able to get some videos of the area. So that project's going to get started with some of the design. Again, that's going to be probably fall construction. And then last, as we met yesterday, Will and the team, we've identified an additional grant. So we'll work with Will on submitting an additional grant for that future phase, probably about $500,000 ask of Pennsylvania DCED to continue help funding that project for its full capacity. So I think off to a good start. We've got the land development, stormwater permits, helping out Ramsey and Sean and the team. So any questions? That's kind of my brief update.
Mr. Kara, the tennis court itself, is that permeable or is it solid?
No, that's
Got 'em.
considered solid, yeah.
Okay, so the water won't pass through it or anything like that. Okay. All
But
right.
it's essentially replacing in kind. It's
Yeah.
not
yeah.
new, you know.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I didn't know whether we were going to use, state-of-the-art stuff up there.
The pervious paving, there's pros and cons to all of those situations, but that's an existing site. If it was completely new, otherwise you're going to tear the whole thing up. That'd be really challenging to do on that location.
All right, last question. When's Kyle Neptune leaving?
Hopefully after tomorrow night, maybe.
Thank you very much. You're excused. I was going to wear my Villanova shirt tonight because you were coming, and I have it draped in black. Yeah, it's been a bad year, 2 years.
Daryl Cook, South Walnut Street. I'm interested in knowing
Nate.
if the South Matlack Street Rain Garden has a completion date. The curb on the west side is now black with tire treads due to the narrowness of the street.
The thing that's complicating things a little bit is we got barriers that are making that travel lane a little too narrow, which is the black marks, causing the black marks that he's talking about. And I would say probably within the next week to 10 days, we'll be able to pour the curb. The contractor will be able to pour the curb, and we'll get rid of those barricades. Then it'll be a standard 12-foot lane, and everything should be fine.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, well, you're back. Hello. Good evening, Mr. Edwards.
Good evening.
Public Works.
Right. Some highlights from this past month are as follows. We responded to numerous snow and ice events. We prepared bidding documents for the 2025 paving project. We're waiting for PennDOT approval. The High Street parking lot is being bid separately because we will not use liquid fuels money. We will be opening bids for the parking lot in a couple of weeks. We removed soil deposits from Goose Creek near the Ramsgate Apartments. I expect that this work will make a significant improvement to the flooding problem in this area. We lined the deteriorated metal culvert near Hoops Park. That work was ongoing as of just an hour ago or so. But we now have a smooth plastic, structurally sound pipe that should last many years. We also have a new inlet box that will help us with future maintenance of the stormwater in that area. And finally, we assisted the parking department with the wayfinding signs, and that project is complete. And from my perspective, that was a rousing success in terms of the money spent, the functionality of the signs, and the aesthetics. So I'm feeling pretty good about that wayfinding sign project. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Michelle?
Thank you so much for those signs, and I do not have questions.
I believe it's Lot 5, the Methodist Church.
Yeah, High Street?
Yeah, High Street.
Yeah.
We're going to be paving that correctly?
Yes.
When do we anticipate doing that because of the daycare that's there, the school kids?
Okay. We'll have to manage that situation. But the timing is such that I'm hoping in April to have a bid for award. And then probably it'll be about, after all the paperwork, if council approves the project, maybe June is when they would be paving that lot. But yeah, we'll definitely make it work as far as the daycare and everything.
Yeah, we should really coordinate with them on that's, really important there.
Yeah.
And the lot does need it, but the coordination, I'm not too worried about the transient people,
Mhm.
but the daycare, we have to have someplace to put the cars and the teachers and stuff like that.
Okay,
Uh,
will do.
Yeah, so, all right, thank you.
All right.
Water of waste. Don't waste the water, Mr. Mitchell. Okay. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Mr. Metrick.
Oh, I thank you very much. There was a Public Works project that wasn't on the report because we're just getting into the point of looking at what the extent of it would be and what the cost would be. But I had a few questions in my email about it, so I wanted to say something publicly. There is a section of Goose Creek that borders on Cedar Alley between Franklin Streets and Adams Streets that's in a deteriorated condition. And Don and the Assistant Director, Don, went out with our stormwater engineer, Remington Vernick, looked at that, and a solution is in the works, and we're just getting preliminary pricing on what that would be.
Appreciate it. Mr. Maple. The most important alley in the borough.
And I walked it a couple times today.
There you go.
For this past month, crews at both plants cut up and removed multiple trees that fell onto the fence and property. The fence has been repaired at both plants by the employees. Goose Creek tore down and inspected a 3-inch portable trash pump that's been used multiple times this past 2 months. Cleaned it up, rebuilt it. They rebuilt 2 sump pumps instead of purchasing new ones. They tore down and inspected the first 2-stage pump impellers and volutes. Inspected all the inspected and pumped out all of our utility manholes, electric and any type of utilities inside. Pumped all the groundwater out from the rain. We found they had to tear down our microscreen. They found a piece of rod, probably 12 to 18 inches long, that somehow made it through the whole system and jammed up into it. So it took a week and 5 guys to pull a 12-foot corkscrew out of a steel tube and put it all back together. It only cost us a couple gallons in oil and a bearing, but we got it all back together. It's running real well right now. Goose Creek average flowing 1,059,000 gallons per day. Taylor Run is still in the process of replacing regular lights with LED lights. They actually had to replace 2 struts and hold down bars for their RBC units, and tore down and replaced a digester sludge pump. Their average was 747,000 gallons per day. Pump stations were inspected and cleaned with their monthly inspections. The wet well torn down or wet pump down. At Worthington Street, we included 2 pictures. We had a company come in and they had those are the guide rails, the top picture. They guide the pumps down. That's probably like 8 years of being in the wet well. So that's how bad it was. Those were the original flanges that the pumps went down and went to. They were that deteriorated. They should be an 8-inch circle. So they were torn off by an independent company, and then we put everything back together and everything's running real good now. Yep.
What kind of coating do we have on the, on the pipe and the,
It is now stainless steel.
oh, it's stainless. Okay, we don't have to worry about it then.
Right.
All right, great. Mr. Carroll, can I ask you just one question as an update from the DEP, from the EDUs? Have we heard anything back from the DEP?
They
Or
sent
request?
questions to us. Panoni answered the questions. We reviewed them and it was sent back last week. So now we're just waiting to hear from them again. So we're a step ahead. We're crossing our fingers that it's closer. So we're hoping it's going to be anytime soon.
Did we ask for any measurement increase or just adding small increments of EDU to the system?
Small increments of EDUs per plot per year. So I believe it's a maximum of 3 per plot, 20 per year total, until both phases are fixed.
Okay, thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
One last thing, I sent both the things, I updated every property that touches Maple Alley, Fosnot Alley, got a letter stating the project's going on, approximate schedule. So another one will follow up prior to construction.
Excellent. Good notification. Thank you. Parks and Recreation. Good evening, Mr. Karowski.
Good evening, everybody.
Always good to see you.
Thank you. Touch on the report quickly. There's a couple key points I want to point out, excuse me. In this room where you're sitting, we had our first, before the pandemic, we had our first daddy-daughter interactive princess party. Doesn't sound like much, but to a daddy of a 12-year-old, it was a good time. We had 33 participants. Wonderful time. You see a couple of pictures there that took place. And I'd like to give kudos to Ryan Michael, our program coordinator, for setting that up and executing that. And I would expect next year it'll be even bigger and better. Two, just to touch on Nate's report earlier, the construction at Hoops Park on the tennis court is supposed to take place starting on Monday. Again, we're looking at a good solid 6 weeks, and that's weather dependent from start to finish when we can get back on and playing. So again, if anyone has any questions, please send them my way. Again, we're looking at 30 days for the cure of the actual playing surface, and then we're going to put the sport court on top of that, and that needs 3 consecutive days and nights of 50-degree plus weather. So if Mother Nature's cool with us, we'll be keeping to our time schedule. Also wanted to touch on something that's not in the report, but will be happening in April. And I think it's pretty important, something that we haven't really looked at prior and was brought to our attention. At our annual Easter egg hunt, we have upwards of 500-600 kids that come out and then throw in their parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, you name it. We get upwards of 1,000 people down at the park. It's a really fun event. It's really quick over, in and out. One thing we haven't really thought of prior was children on the spectrum or that have sensory issues. And a group called Faith on the Spectrum brought it to our attention. And we're going to be making some changes this year. That's going to be more beneficial to everyone and hopefully be more inclusive and allow everyone of all abilities or disabilities to be able to join us without any issues. So I'll be bringing more information back to you guys in April after that event takes place. Touching base back with Sheila here, one thing we are currently working on is a standing operating procedure and working with the Parks and Rec Department and the school district to better coordinate those events and activities that take place within our parks, mainly being homecoming and the annual prom events that take place at Everhart and Marshall Square. So again, once those SOPs are done, I'll be presenting them back to the borough manager, but we are working on them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any specific questions in regards to the report? I know we're going to get to some programming things a little bit later. I don't know if we're talking about those now, or we're going to talk about those later.
Well, you're there. Right.
That was item new business C.
Reports, yeah. Where, I don't see it.
C, under new business.
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. I've read it 3 times. Yeah, we'll come to that back.
Any
Thank
questions
you.
on the report? Anything? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, hey, Keith, one question. Panoni,
Fire away.
every time I look at Klein, I just think of Panoni, all that money he could possibly have, but the right name. When they put in the tennis courts up there,
Mhm.
are they putting, what kind of base are they putting in? A modified base?
I believe it's, we are tearing up, again, I just was at the pre-construction meeting, but the pre-construction, while I was there, I don't understand all the terms. That's what I leave up to the engineers. But we are ripping out 2 inches of the current base. We're adding in the macadam. I want to say there's a 1-inch sub base, but I have to look at the diagrams. I don't know off the top of my head.
Nate, can you help? Yeah, the only reason, because the reason why the thing always cracked is because it never had a very good base underneath of it. And we had settlation cracks every year up there. I want to make sure that we put down modified or 2-inch stone or whatever it is and roll it. Yeah. Yeah, because we want to make sure that, we have a good, before we put some macadam on that thing, to make sure that, because believe it or not, Potter Alley, the second most important alley in the borough, dropped actually 3 inches this winter. And it came back up. Well, it's amazing. I mean, I understand freeze thaw, but after 100 years, you would not think an alley would move, but our alley did. And It was crazy. So I would hate to lose a brand new.
No, I don't
Sure.
want to put all this good money into rebuilding it without, and I'm sure that was pre-planned out by the engineers in the construction. Again, we met with them on Monday, and again, I'm fairly confident that we won't have that issue. Now, we live in Pennsylvania where we're going to get the extremes of both.
Yeah.
So we're always going to have to deal with that moving forward, but I don't think it'll be an immediate issue. Hopefully something we're not revisiting for a good decade.
The warranty, I know that there's normally a material warranty, then there's a labor warranty of a year. Do you know what any of the warranties are, Mr. Edwards?
Don't.
Mr. Edwards does.
Go ahead, sir.
To go back to the base, one thing I can add is that Pannoni did do some sampling to see what the ground was like to make sure that it will hold up. So that part I can add to that. And as far as there's a 1-year maintenance bond that usually comes with the project. So it's more than a warranty. It's usually for the materials and the workmanship that comes with a project like this one.
All right, thank you. Okay. Oh, look at this. You can't let somebody else have the last word. I love it.
No, these guys are all over it. I will double check. Sometimes for that special surface, that special coating, there might be additional warranty information. So I'll double check that and loop you guys in too, just to make sure there's nothing else, just so we have that kind of maximized and we're aware of that for future issues.
We normally, back in the day, when I had brown hair, it would be a 5-year non-fade because the coating is normally.
It's a great example.
It goes down about 10 mils.
Yep.
And normally it was green and red and white lines and had like I said, 10-year no fade of the colors.
That's what I'll confirm for these
yeah.
guys, make sure.
Because they're acrylic.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, Mr. Vaccaro. All right. Can you approve the minutes? Minutes approved. Further discussion, a new public works building. We're going to table that tonight. Because there's a bunch of things working on behind the scenes. I promise to keep that on the agenda as we move forward. New business, motion to approve the 2025 aluminum chloride hydroxide sulfate bid.
That one's self-explanatory. We're recommending that.
Okay, for $3.30, I guess 31 cents. Any problems? I had to say all those words, so we should say yes. Motion to approve soda ash, 508.38 per ton.
Same thing. That's our recommendation.
Good. Ms. Vaccaro? We might as well just jump over Keith. Motion to approve repair of the inlet North High Street.
I don't know how that got back on there. We actually got a price that's under $10,000. So we don't need your approval for that item. No, not table it, just withdraw it. Yep.
Let's see, motion to approve litter truck body installation.
We got a better price.
I remember. I couldn't believe it. $20,000.
Yeah.
Well, since you're resting there for a second, can you just put some light on the rock salt? So a lot of questions are flying around about the rock salt. I understand it, but it's important to be on the table.
Okay. I am really happy you asked that question because I don't think there's a proper understanding about winter maintenance. We have $50,000 in the budget for winter maintenance, which handles a normal winter, but it is very predictable that we would go over budget when there's extreme weather. The unpredictability of weather from year to year is, just can't do it. It could be an icy winter. It could be heavy snow. I mean, the Public Works Department is not set up for a huge snowfall. We would have to hire contractors and $50,000 isn't going to get it. So there is no problem here. It's just that caught us on a winter, which was, not normal. We had more ice than we usually do. I think Don Anderson described it as we had more ice this year than the previous two combined. And And so that's why we're in the position that we are.
Okay, the one question follow up on a bad snowstorm
Yeah.
that we used to have. Do we still have a contract with a third party? It used to be called Eagle. If we had to call them in, and do we have money in a line item in that event?
We do not. No. So if that ever happens, and hopefully it won't be this year, that one or two things are going to happen. I'm leaning towards doing a contract this year for emergency services, just so we have somebody. That doesn't guarantee they're going to come out. I've been down that road before, right? Oh yeah, because they're going to have a contract price with the borough, but when it comes to making money, they'll probably find some other places that'll pay them more, and then all of a sudden we can't get them on the phone. I've been through this before, and I ended up calling the bonding company over in Phoenixville one time and then that got their attention. It's like, no, you said you're going to be here, and so I contacted the bonding company. We got that straightened out, but yeah, so I'm going to try to get that in place for this coming year.
Yeah, we used to have Eagle, and then there was Duraco.
Yep.
I think it was Duraco, brother, right over here by the hospital.
Yep.
Stuff like that in the event. And with the global warming,
Yeah.
there's hard to tell what's going to happen.
Right.
And one more question, since you're visiting with us, tree damage
Yeah.
that fell down. Did we have to do any emergency tree stuff?
It's associated with winter weather.
No, just past windstorms that we were having.
Well, not just a small amount, nothing major.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I be honest with you, I think it reflects well on the health of the trees, because we had some doozy of some windstorms
Yeah.
recently, and we didn't get that many, complaints.
When there's a bad wind, when by Sheila's house, the little guy that stands in the middle of the street that says slow down,
Yeah.
he's against the curb. The wind blew him all the way across the curb.
Yeah.
I was going to pick it up, and my wife said, "Don't you dare."
Mhm.
So, Mr. Anderson, you know where it is, right there on the corner.
Mhm.
He's against the curb. So, but the wind blew him over there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty windy. So,
While you brought that up, we are working with our engineer to get approval for a couple more of those little men to put out at Darlington, because the ones out there at Brandywine are such a hit. So they're
you.
really
Mr.
contracted.
Kara?
I believe.
Yes.
please.
So yes, it's been really windy. Yes, we need them on Darlington Street. Yes.
I bet the person just danced to the curb. It was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Can't go any further. So, thank you. All right, Mr. Korowski. Oh, Mayor, did you move up for a reason? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're gonna do the
Item C under new business, correct?
C. Yeah, motion to direct Recreation Commission to recommend park programming choices and vendor stuff.
Well, after a conversation with the borough manager and myself, we thought this would be the best way to vet out any programming issues or concerns that have been brought up or addressed by anyone, really. That's what the rec commission is there for. As I mentioned, I believe in an email that several of you received, the rec commission discusses everything parks and recreation related, but they've never been actually to vet out, motion, and approve activities. But that's what they're there for. We meet monthly, and I think it's probably the best way to go about it. And then included in my monthly report every month will be what we've discussed and what we've talked about, what was approved, what was denied, if there was any questions. And again, those meetings are open to the public as well, so anyone can come and voice their opinions or concerns at those meetings instead of bringing them directly here. And if there was any questions or concerns regarding that new format or layout on how we would address programming. I mean, in the past, as I've mentioned before in other meetings, again, we're just trying to create the biggest array and diverse bundle of program we can for all ages at all of our parks. As you well know from, some of the reporting I've done, we're fairly limited in what we have available to us. We don't have certain things, so we kind of make do with what we have. And with that, again, we sometimes don't use the park for the intended purpose, but we get the program through and we provide that service to the public. I think that at the Rec Commission, we can do that all, again, as openly and as public as possible, and make sure we're serving everyone's needs.
The calendar for programming and events. Is that a living document that residents and council could look at?
It can be. Currently, it's only events. The programming is on our My Rec page, which is our registration software page. It's a portal off of the Parks and Rec page. We're literally, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, we're sitting on, as we're having these discussions, we're sitting on 10 different agreements, 5 in paper that are ready to be signed. Again, before we sign them and make them public and start advertising, we make sure we have clearance from the committee and also from council to do so. But they're sitting there waiting to be signed, ready to move. And once they're approved and we can start marketing them, they will be on the website, social media. They'll live everywhere that we can put them out there to try and draw as much attention to them as possible.
Please speak on the skate park. The 3 programs that showed up on Facebook. It annoyed many residents because they thought that something was shady happening because of the people that like skate parks, and there's people that don't like skate parks. And I understand this is a show and tell like it was before, and regular event that's approved by you guys.
Yeah, again, and
It's all temporary stuff too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And to speak on that specifically, it's not about a skate park. It's not about a skate spot. This is a program of learning how to skate. That's all it is. We're going to have it. We've been in conversations. Again, nothing's been approved. There's been no paperwork signed. We're waiting for the approvals to do so. It'll be at 3 different parks on 3 different locations on 3 different days for 2 hours, temporary equipment. And it's just like any other program, whether it be a soccer program, we have temporary nets or anything. And again, we don't have a skate spot or a skate park in the borough. So we're looking for an open, flat, paved surface in which we can do this. There is no ulterior motive. There's no anything else about it. It's literally a program. And I just want that to be fully known. We, through the pros plan, will find out what the people of the borough want. And it'll be up to council to further allocate funds and whatnot to make those dreams become a reality. But we're not at that stage yet. So that's where we stand as of right now.
The only question, additional question to
Sure.
this situation, Mr. Metric, you may know this better. Liability. In the event that a child gets hurt pretty seriously,
Sure.
Flipping off one of these things, general liability insurance doesn't really sit because it's interactive. It doesn't sit really well with me.
Okay.
I mean, because, you can have $1 million worth of liability, but then it's reoccurring stuff, reoccurring
Yep.
250, whatever it is. Mr. Metric, how do we protect only because it's so interactive and it's arm and head injury possibilities? How do we protect the borough in the event that somebody, gets injured really seriously?
You raise a good point. Well, first, before you even have a discussion about insurance, you to avoid serious injury, the borough responsibly manages its parks and its infrastructure so that there aren't hazards. That's where it all starts. And then when you contract with a third party to provide a service, you make sure that they're at least as well insured as the borough is. So they have to meet certain limits of their insurances. And I think too, Keith, with this particular case, they also need to have additional coverage for adults supervising children, which is not something we carry on our
No,
policies. We don't
again,
have that.
they would have to have any of the clearances for adults. When it's a drop-off type program and parents aren't sticking around, they need to have those clearances to be able to watch children or to oversee children, excuse me. And if I'm not mistaken, the current policy we have in place is 1 million per occurrence and 2 million aggregate. And that's general from a special event on down to a soccer program. I know there were discussions a few years ago, and it's kind of off topic when it came to special events. If someone was having alcohol, should we increase things? It's something we can look at further scrutinize to see, depending on what type of activity that is taking place with our programming, should there be an additional liability aspect incurred by the programmer, not the borough. But I think Sean and I have these conversations where, if someone's decided to sue, they're going to sue everybody. Yeah. And again,
It's going to be a shotgun effect.
Yeah.
And they think we have these pockets. So, you know, we're going to be named number one.
Mhm.
And in the event that the helmets don't work, you know, I'm not worried about broken arms or legs because they're repairable. I'm worried about heads. Yeah. And if the children are not supplying their own helmet, which is fitted to their head, it's a generic helmet, you know,
Understand.
that's certainly the concerns I have. I'm worried about
Understood.
injury to the kids. I think, you know, it's a unique event. And I'm just worried about not general liability, massive liability for head injuries. That's all.
Bernie, can I just
May I,
have you pause for
may
a
I
second?
speak? I'm sorry, Sheila, may I
Not
speak?
yet. Not yet.
Thank you.
Sorry. My children played football on borough property for many years, and there's a ridiculous liability with head injury and football playing. I don't understand why we're harping on injury because of skateboards. I know that people get injured on skateboards, but people get injured on swing sets, people get injured on jungle gyms. This is not a terribly unique circumstance. And I think you need to sort of admit that in this is very similar to many of the other things that are regularly offered by our borough.
Oh, the only, if you looked at the thing right beside you on the screen, slip and fall. I don't want to see Morgan and Morgan coming here. That's my biggest thing because I know as a senior citizen, the first thing that hits the ground is my fat ass. The second thing's my head. So I know kids are more resilient, and I know all about football. I've had concussions. That's why I act the way I act. But you know, it's I like the idea of variety. I just want to make sure that where you could actually hurt your head potentially, it's a little bit more scrutiny put to it. That's all.
Well, I think to Sheila's point, I mean, just like with any sport or activity that's taking place that we're partnering with or sharing with, the correct safety apparel should be worn. So if you're playing football, you're wearing a helmet and pads. If you're doing skateboarding, you're wearing a helmet and elbows and knees. I mean, I don't think that's difficult to enforce. They have to sign waivers. Again, while it is a free program to attend, you still have to register to be a part of it. There's not going to be drop-ins or, you know, come as you are. You still have to register. And part of that registration process is signing our waiver and release. And certainly with the time we have, again, the first activity for this particular program doesn't take place for another 5 weeks. So we can work with the programmer and say, hey, which is as long as we're following this. And of course, either myself and our program coordinator will be there to ensure that these are taking place, at least for the first step in the programming, to make sure that all of our rules are being followed. Sure.
There's an angel that wants to speak to us. Her name's Sue Bain from Penn
Thank
Street.
you.
Still there?
I'm still here. Thank you.
Good evening, Ms. Bain.
Good evening, Mr. Flynn. How are you?
Excellent. And we can hear you very well.
Oh, good. The computer's working tonight. So to back up just a little bit, and I brought this to Keith because it's out on Facebook already. It hasn't gone through all the approvals with Keith and how he does things. And that's a concern. You've got a programmer who's announcing it to the world. The other thing is, this is in specific small parks, and the neighbors were not invited first. They have no notification of this. And that is also a concern. When you've got something like this coming in, the neighborhoods, especially in small congested areas like this, need to know first. They shouldn't have to look at Facebook and quite possibly miss something like this. The other thing is, again, because it's small parks, 2 of them anyway, there's congested parking. So something like this really needs to be monitored a little bit more, especially John O'Green. There's not a lot of free parking. So when parents bring their kids down, there's a good chance the parents are driving to these events. So now you've got extra cars in the area. So those were more my concerns. It's not, I'm all for good outdoor activity, do it safely, have fun. But this event, and I don't know what other ones, are going about it the wrong way. They're already announcing it and nothing's been approved.
Thank you, Ms. Bain. I just looked at the calendar. All the events are planned on Saturdays.
Correct.
From 1 to 3, and there's no parking enforcements on Saturdays up until 5 p.m. at night. So the only people that would be able to participate in the safety aspect of the parking would be the police department, because the parking department doesn't come on until 5 o'clock.
Right. And one of the things we've discussed here before is, unfortunately, parking is always an issue at our parks. So any program that's going to draw more than a handful of people, which we want all of our programs to be full and robust, but parking is always going to be an issue. The nice thing about this is they've got a means of transportation that they're bringing with them to the facility. I do agree with Sue, though. A lot of folks are going to be bringing their children and dropping them off, which goes back to the discussion we just had about the people that are in charge of the event have to have the proper clearances in order to be taking care of children. So I wish I had a better answer for the parking issue. I just don't.
There is no answer. So, don't rack your brain. Ms. Bain, thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. Moving on to Keith, thank you very much.
Can I just-
Oh, you have something else?
Just real quick.
Okay.
The Recreation Commission did not meet in February. We had some illnesses and people recovering from surgery. There are a few programs that have been kind of waiting to be agreed upon. And one is this program we just discussed, the Learn to Skate, a Science Explorer summer camp, a Soccer Shots program at Hoops, a yoga summer camp, and Brandywine School of Wizardry, all of which we've run before, minus the Learning to Skate. And I'm asking you, since the commission didn't meet, do you have any objections to us moving ahead with those so we can start to publicly market and advertise those to get full camps and see a return on our investment?
As far as I'm concerned, I don't have any issues, but full council, could you have a list of them
Absolutely.
for council
Sure.
for Tuesday night?
I can.
That way there we could look at it and give the okay for the voting session.
I have no problem. That's not a
All right.
problem at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vaccaro, anything? Okay. Other business, Mayor. It's always good to see you.
Thank you. Now I have three questions, one for Keith. Has the price been figured out for the skate sessions?
It's free.
It's free?
It's a free program.
Oh, okay. But it's costing the borough money, though. Is that a correct statement? It's not,
There's no cost that I can think of.
you have people coming in that are not charging the borough?
They're not charging us.
Okay, great, thank you. I had two questions. One, so it's probably another year and Davis Oil has not been looked at or attended or talked about by this council or addressed by this council. And so I'd like that to be on discussion and addressed. The second thing is a question of what time are contractors allowed to start in the borough when they go to work?
During the week, it's 7 o'clock in the morning,
7?
7 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. Unfortunately, Belinsky, the trash guys, seem to show up at 6 and they're squeaking and banging and rolling those dumpsters around because they're on West Minor Street down there, down the block. But a contractor is not supposed to start before 7 o'clock, any noise. And on the weekends, if I remember the ordinance properly, on Sunday, you're not even supposed to cut your grass, make noise, or use a leaf blower, or make a lot of noise on a Sunday.
Yeah, I was just concerned about weekday. I thought it was 7 a.m. but
Yeah,
I
7
wasn't
a.m..
Certain. My only concern is the people who are working on the bridge on Ashford Street, before 322. I mean, I don't know what they're using, the jackhammers, but literally the houses are just shaking. Now, that might be a matter of the builder, but I'm saying the houses, whatever they're using,
Are you talking next to Hoops Park there?
yes.
Uh,
Not the workers working on whose part. There's two different things going on. Ashford's a hot
yeah.
mess.
Yeah, well,
But-
when executives live in a certain area, they will make sure it's right.
The bridge there that they're working on, I think that's where all that,
You mean over by the golf course?
no, the bridge near 320.
Oh, down the bottom of the hill. Yes. Yeah, down the bottom of the hill. Mr. Edwards, could you
Yeah,
come up and
near
help us out?
322. They're really have the houses shaking. And
Yeah.
I'm concerned about that.
Yeah,
Because one of them's mine and I feel it literally shaking.
yeah.
But 7 a.m. is.
7 a.m.
That's when they've all been starting. But that's okay.
Yeah.
But we need to, I need y'all to put it on the agenda.
Dave, you know what?
I need
I apologize because we were really hot on that for a long
I
time.
need y'all to put it back in your eyesight and focus on it,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards, can you lean in on the Davis Oil at all?
Not Davis.
Okay. Don't get nervous. Don't get nervous. How about the jackhammer?
But because now we have, Sardimer's coming up. I think that's Sardimer and that's coming up. Isn't that Sardimer? A national phone.
National Foam, yeah, it's
National
another
Phone.
time.
That's
Yeah.
Getting ready to come up
Yeah.
and, so y'all need to do better.
Thank you. The noise, am I correct on 7 o'clock?
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, well, first of all, the contractor right across the street from the mayor, that work should be finished. I mean, maybe a little dress up, but that one should be finished. And, I mean, that's just code enforcement. So, I mean, if we ever hear if a contractor's starting early, we'll get them straightened out.
You know, the mayor of Westchester has 44 staff persons. And if they're starting before 7 o'clock, that sounds like somebody should make a phone call. Just letting you know, you got 44 people ready to jump. Yes, Mr. Mitchell.
The Davis property, I will reach out. We have a industrial permit with them through the DEP. We have not heard anything from them in months. AECom, the contractor for them, we've not heard from them at all. So I will get our engineer who has been in contact with them in the past to see whether he can hear anything. See if
Is
there's
there
anything
any
on the
water
radar.
being pumped or are they doing any remediation at all?
Yeah, they're supposed to.
Okay,
But it's all funded through DEP, with the contractor of AECom doing the work.
yeah,
I know they agreed where the connections would be for the remediation, to be sent to Goose Creek, but since then we have not heard from them. It's got to be 8-10 months at least.
oh.
Yeah,
So-
nothing. We
oh.
have drawings, and where the connections are, but that's it.
Is there any way we can goose them?
We can reach out to them. It's a question of whether they even answer.
Really?
That's
You
why
mean
they're ghosting us.
You mean DEP or the
All the above.
contractor? Wow, okay. That's not good about DEP. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Mayor, there's our answer.
Still is the borough, and that answer isn't good enough. It seems to me that there is a owner of this property that you can address your concerns to the owner of the property. I understand DEP is what it is, but you need to be talking to the owner of this property so something can happen. Or else you're going to have this times 3
Mr. Mitchell's going to work on that, I guess tomorrow or the next day to come up with some kind of answers for us. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. Yes, Mayor.
And I only want to say, I hope we don't let National Phone do what you let every other company do, walk away from it all and leave their dirt behind.
Thank you.
I am very supportive of manufacturing and industry, and I know that it's messy, but we definitely need to hold these people accountable. And we need to, if we need to put things on the books where we can find these guys regularly, we have to be doing something to change this. This is, people live here, and our job is to take care of these people
Yeah.
and the land that we're on.
Mr. Metrick, I know you're not prepared to talk about national foam because, you know, that we, but to Ms. Vaccaro's point, do we have any leverage at all when it comes to environmental situations like national foam?
Pennsylvania DEP has issued a consent order. In other words, the property owner has consented to take certain measures to limit the amount of chemicals that are coming off the property and stormwater. That's why they're paving it this week. You'll see that amount paving the gravel portions of the property. And there will also be a plan presentation by the property owner and the engineer representing the property owner here in this room, April 2nd, I believe, in the evening to go over what they're planning to do to clean up the site.
Thank you.
Everything that I saw about National Foam, which is not everything, but what I did see looked like things were moving along. What are we able to do with Davis?
Borough have any leverage? She's asking. And I asked, do we have any leverage at all? Or is it all, Mr. Mitchell got up again? Come on down. Okay.
We were told for the reason why DEP is doing the work is the family is bankrupt and DEP took it on as a brownfield and they're supporting the work.
You're talking about Davis.
Davis.
Davis Oil, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, we're over on National Foam. Talking about
I
National.
moved it back.
Oh, you went backwards?
Right.
Okay.
So
There you go.
that's what the explanation of why we had to give the industrial permit to the DEP. They give us a permit, we give them a permit. But yes, we were told that the Davis property was bankrupt and they were going through different funds and they're funding the grant work for that. Or not a grant work, they're funding the work to get it remediated.
We've been told that before, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're concerned about the National Foam as well. Do you have anything on that?
I do not, I was not at the meeting.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Mayor, I'll look into it and we'll have an answer for Tuesday. Thank you. Ms. Kearns, you moved. So there must be a reason.
Hi, Lisa Kearns, West Biddle Street. The discussion made me think of a question that a resident in Ward 7 asked, and that's about the Yarnell Garage property. Apparently, back in the day, a lot of the oil draining, et cetera, used to be down in a pit. And has that all been looked at?
I can't answer that question, but you're absolutely right. That's the way they did it.
Yeah, that's the way they
Yeah.
did it.
And actually, the mechanics actually used to get in a hole
Yeah.
under the car.
Because they didn't have
Yeah.
the lifts.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And they used to dispose of a lot of gas and other things on the property that they've now paved over.
right.
So I was wondering whether
I,
that had been looked
yeah,
at by.
I'm assuming if they're gonna, if they're gonna put houses on it,
Yeah, that's
somebody did some kind of investigative work there to make sure it's safe.
hopefully. So I'll ask the planning commission, I guess. Would that be who?
Yeah,
what would
planning
be-
commission would be, yeah, they'd be the people to know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carnes. Ms. Vaccaro, anything else? Thank you. Anybody else have anything? We're adjourned at 7:38.